And welcome back to the Victory Road World Cup of VGC. I'm once again back as your caster, and with me is not Costa, but now it is Gabby. How are you doing? What are you doing on the last game that you were out?
I actually had lunch and I had a little bit of caffeine because I was still waking up for round one. But honestly, I think that super hype match was more than enough coffee to get the blood flow and the brain churning, get everything going for this round three today.
And this is really going to be interesting. Now that you are now running like fully 100%, we are now ready to head into our next game, which is going to be United States versus New Zealand. I'd have to say though, United States has, I don't want to be biased, but like they have one of the most stacked team in VR World Cup 2021, sorry.
I mean, you talk about bias. I feel a little bit bad because, I'm from the US and obviously you want for your home team, but at the same time,
right.
Yeah, if we want to take a look at the two teams, the rosters for the United States and for New Zealand, there are certainly a lot of familiar names on the U.S. side of the field. And I'm very excited to see how these players are going to perform, as it looks like the U.S. is currently leading 4-0 against New Zealand this week.
So yeah, I'm really interested to see how how New Zealand is going to bounce back from this 4-0. But now we are going to see our player profiles. Of course, the match this time is going to be Kyle Livinghouse versus Alex Donaldson. Of course, we're going to be starting with Kyle Livinghouse, 2019 World Championships Day 2 competitor, top 8 in North America Internationals, and top 16 for the 2018 North American International, running in with the Groudon, Venusaur, Talonflame, Serena, Nihilego, and that Ditto. Nihilego, sorry.
I know Nihilego is always a tough one to say, but this is a really interesting team from Kyle. I honestly, I was expecting to see a bit more balance in terms of typing, but you have two grass type Pokemon. You have two Pokemon weak to water. You have the Nihilego, which isn't known to be the bulkiest Pokemon on the field. So I think Kyle's strategy with this team really revolves around Ditto and ensuring that you can sort of copy whatever Pokemon on the opposing side of the field that you.
Right. So what's going to be interesting here is that if USA wins this, if Kyle wins this match, it is going to be a 5-0, which means that they're going to be winning this week. So it all boils down to Kyle. But now let's head into the next one. Of course, if Alex is going to be, stopping this streak from a 4-0, then they still have a chance to get back up. Right now, of course, this is Alex Donaldson from New Zealand, top 8 Oceania Players Cup 3. This year, of course. You were there.
No, unfortunately for Players Cup 3, I was on the sidelines, but I like to see that a player who did well in Players Cup 3 in this tournament, given that Players Cup 3 was Series 8, which is the closest to Series 10 as you can get without it being identical. Right. But also another interesting team here, also relying on firepower, having that Groudon and the Entei. A little bit different. There's no Venusaur, there's Serena. Instead, it looks like the Rillaboom is most likely going to be the grass-type support Pokemon of choice. I'm curious to see what kind of Drifblim Alex brought, though, since, typically Drifblim runs an item that disappears in terrain, so in this case, it would have to be the Grassy Seed. And then activates the Unburden ability so that its speed can shoot way up. So a little bit different than the Tapu Lele partner it's used to having, but still might be valuable here given that on the opposite side of the field, you have Groudon and Venusaur as sort of the speed control of choice.
Right. And with that all being said, let us now head into our match. Again, guys, this is the United States versus New Zealand.
And already you can see just how similar these teams are. I mean, obviously the Pokemon are pretty different, but they all sort of revolve around supporting the Groudon. We do have the benefit of watching this from Kyle's perspective, so we can see some of those hold items already in play, and I want to call out the choice scarf on the Ditto in particular, because I was talking about how important this Ditto is going to be for this matchup. I think, especially knowing that it has choice scarf, that allows you to be whatever Pokemon is on the opposing side of the field almost instantly. Transform into it. And then be faster. So it looks like Kyle is going to be keeping that one in his back pocket for this game 1. It's a good tech to sort of rotate into game 2 or game 3, since you'll have a better idea of what your opponent is going to be using. But I've seen a surprising number of Ditto as of late on Battle Stadium, so it's always nice to review those just so that when you're staring it down yourself, you know what to expect.
Right. And I'm just really thinking, what would happen if Ditto from Michael on the last match had, the choice card? Maybe it would have been quite the turntable for them. But right now we'll be focusing into this game, United States versus New Zealand. It is Kyle Livinghouse versus Alex Donaldson. Let's have a champion time. The first leads is going to be the Venusaur and Nihilego, and of course the Entei and Groudon for the side of Alex.
A very interesting lead from Kyle, correctly predicting the presence of Alex's Groudon on the field and able to utilize Chlorophyll to get that speed advantage and immediately start putting Pokemon to sleep. Alex is going to have to be very careful. Fortunately, Entei should be able to knock out this Venusaur, providing that the Sacred Fire lands. But then you also have the Nihilego to contend with. So if Venusaur is able to land the Sleep Powder onto the Groudon, I think that's going to be a really big win for Kyle, regardless of what Pokemon get knocked out, because that will allow his Groudon not have to worry about getting attacked and be able to Precipice Blades and deal some really good damage.
Right. And let's find out what is going to be the first moves. Alex decides to withdraw that Entei into the Incineroar from the back. Of course, going to have some Intimidate here, but we all know that this is going to be quite hard now for the side of Nihilego. But right now, Sleep Powder is going to be avoided by the Groudon. That's actually quite big as well. But here we have it. We are going to see some stat boosts into the side of Nihilego, and that is going to be just a lot. Meteor Beam is now going to be used into the side of that Entei, and one-hit KOs the Incineroar immediately at turn number 1. Yes, it might have been big. The Sleep Powder might have not worked, but that Meteor Beam is all Kyle needed to get this one up. But of course, the Precipice Blade is going to hit everyone in the field. Critical hit in the Venusaur, and now we know that it is Focus Sash. Well, we actually already saw this Focus Sash here. It is going to be a one KO into Nihilego. It doesn't matter if you got that, if you got the Incineroar, if you got the Meteor Beam, you're still gonna go down. They are just, this. I'm not expecting. I wasn't expecting this turn 1.
I know, and this is why Groudon is absolutely terrifying. Admittedly, I feel like it's lost a little bit of its utility given the fact that it does not have access to its Primal Reversion in this generation, and as a result, solely a ground type Pokemon does make it more susceptible to Will-O-Wisps and those other things that those other statuses that it would have avoided otherwise. But still, if it lands Precipice Blades, and you have to phrase it that way, because I think everybody's had that experience where Groudon's let them down and the Precipice Blades but if you land it just does so much damage. And you have to think about how much luck came into that turn. We could see that same turn play out game 2, game 3 in a completely different outcome. The Sleep Powder could have landed as well, so it's just something for Kyle to keep in mind. Even though that turn was really rough, that's just how it happens sometimes, unfortunately. Thanks to the quick guard on Talonflame, looks like Venusaur will have one more opportunity to attack this turn, but as tempting as a Sleep Powder is, I think you have to go for the Leaf Storm, go for that damage, so that Talonflame can then, assuming it doesn't take any damage this turn, go for a priority Gale Wings boosted attack to pick up the knockout the next turn on Groudon. You can't let it Precipice Blade the second time.
Right, and if it does, it's just going to demolish Kyle all day long. But here we have the quick card. Let's see if Alex is going to see this one up. He did not see that from a while away. We got in the protect here. In the quick card rather, and now the Leaf Storm is going to hit the Groudon. Wanted KO. He was just answering. Kyle was just answering back against Alex from that Precipice Blades, and the quick card. That's quite unfortunate that Alex wasn't able to read that one.
It is unfortunate, but it's really good information for Kyle going into game 2 that you don't have to risk the sleep powder there, and Leaf Storm will in fact be a one-hit knockout, and I think that's really going to change his game plan, you know, when we get to that point. For now, though, he does still have to be cautious of these two Pokemon, as Rillaboom priority can easily knock out Venusaur, and Entei is going to be a very powerful Pokemon indeed. But as long as Kyle plays his cards right and keeps, you know, an eye on the board state, I think he should be able to clean up. We haven't even seen the reveal of his restricted Pokemon yet, which you have to assume is going to be that Groudon of his own. So prioritize knocking out that Rillaboom, get the Groudon on the then that's going to be game.
Right, but even then though, like, we're definitely going to see that one up, but it is going to be, Alex is currently in at a disadvantage. Of course, the Aggressive Blade is going to take the knockdown into that of the Venusaur, making sure that Kyle is going to bring out the last Pokemon on the back. But right now, we are going to see a 1 KO into the Talonflame. Not going to survive for very long, and now the situation is 2-1. Groudon, this is all in your hands.
I am very surprised that Kyle didn't go for the priority boosted Brave Bird onto that Rillaboom, instead relying on the Flare Blitz. That was really curious. Like, I had to do a double does this Talonflame not have Gale Wings? Which is always a possibility. Fortunately, watching from Kyle's point of view answers that question nicely for us. But I think an unfortunate miscalculation, Kyle, probably wanting to rely on the extra damage from the sunlight to ensure a knockout, maybe worrying that this Rillaboom is running enough bulk or possibly even a Koba Berry to take less damage from a Brave Bird. But just got completely punished for it because of that Stone Edge.
Right, and at this point, Kyle is just getting in some notes. Getting in some notes for the next game here. He was, Kyle was getting tempted to get a run, but of course, getting in these protects to make sure that he's going to get more information out of Alex for the next game, and I think that is actually quite smart for Kyle to do.
Well, there's also a win condition here, and that's Entei is most likely Choice Scarfed on top of everything else and is absolutely locked into Stone Edge. Groudon is going to resist that, and as we just saw, it's not the most accurate move. So if Precipice Blades can connect with Groudon and, Groudon doesn't get knocked out from the attack, Kyle can still win this.
Right. And I think, this is really interesting, and this is going to be close, right? Groudon definitely would be able to want to KO the Entei with the Precipice Blades, but that is only if Groudon is going to be able to survive from this, from this attack from the Entei. But I also like to protect here just to make sure that Groudon is going to take advantage of the grassy terrain to heal up, and just like that, Kyle was able to make Groudon go back up to yellow HP, and now going in for the Precipice Blades. Let's find out if the Groudon is going to be able to survive this Stone Edge, and it is going to be surviving that one, and the Precipice Blades is going to knock out this Entei, and that is it. Kyle was able to turn the tables around against Alex.
So a lot of good information for both these trainers from that game too. I think the big reveal obviously was the Choice Scarf on the Entei, but we also know that the Rillaboom's Grassy Glide is not enough to knock out that Groudon in hit, and I think that was something that Kyle was trying to try to play around. Also, if it wasn't for that Choice Scarf, a Sacred Fire there would have also been pick up the knockout on Groudon, and would have had a bit more luck connecting, I think, as well, but only by a little. So still a really fantastic game one from both these trainers. I really loved how Kyle just hung on, and going into game 2, I think you really just stick with the same strategy. You know, maybe be cautious of the Talonflame. There were certain things Kyle could have done to, you know, won the game a bit quicker, but just learning enough information about the opponent's team that he was able to immediately use to his advantage. Very well played.
Yeah, definitely. I'd have to give props to Kyle as well. You know, he was, Kyle was already getting tempted to run, but Kyle decided to just, okay, let's do some protect here, trying to get some information. They were able to recognize the scarf, and from there on, decides to change up their game plan and get the win. That was a pretty good comeback. I think that deserves a highlight.
Yeah, on Alex's side of the field, I think you stick with the same Pokemon. I think you have to be a bit more careful about what that final move on Entei is going to be. Stone Edge works really well against Talonflame, but really struggled against the other Pokemon that Kyle brought. But still, it felt like he had the right tools. It was really just a couple of things that went against his advantage that gave Kyle the win. You could also potentially consider subbing in Regieleki, maybe, knowing that the Groudon was brought, but overall didn't seem to be a key part of Kyle's strategy. But I don't think we're going to see too many Pokemon adjustments from these trainers. I think they're going to run the same stuff, but maybe try and play it a bit more optimally.
Right, and here we have it. Alex is going to bring out the Groudon and the Rillaboom for this game, and at the same time Kyle is going to change it up with the Talonflame and the Venusaur. This is game number 2, Kyle Livinghouse versus Alex Donaldson, United States versus New Zealand. Let's have a champion time.
Venusaur, unlike the Venusaur, unlike turn 1 in the previous game, has the perfect opportunity to go directly for a Leaf Storm into this Groudon. We've already seen the reveal of the Quick Guard on Kyle's side of the field. Quick Guard to stop priority, Leaf Storm to go into Groudon. Even if Groudon protects, that is still your optimal play, and I think you do something very similar for turn 2 if it doesn't work out. Alex needs to be cautious of that, but I think if you want to keep the Groudon around for later on in this game, you just have to immediately switch out and maybe play as if any priority move you are going to use will be blocked by that Quick Guard.
Right, and knowing that one, acknowledging that one would definitely give an advantage over Alex here, but unfortunately that is not going to be acknowledged. They are not going to be able to read the Quick Guard and goes in immediately for the Leaf Storm, knowing that the Precipice Blades is going to deal a lot of threat into the side of Kyle. Was able to take down the Groudon just like that. Turn 1 freely for Kyle.
And that is going to make the rest of this game so much easier for Kyle to win, knowing that the restricted Pokemon, that Groudon, is just completely out of play. We're seeing another adjustment from Alex here. It's going to be the reveal of that Incineroar, but doesn't change too much, I think, for Kyle's game plan. Honestly, it looks like we're getting a little bit of a peek of another adjustment Kyle made, and I think this Incineroar, unfortunately for Alex, is going to be used against him.
Right, and we are now going to be able to see the Ditto. This is going to be the first time that we are going to see the Ditto coming in from the side of Kyle. But as you mentioned, it is going to be used against them. -1 Intimidate, and just to be able to make sure that they're not going to they're going to be getting as least of a damage coming in from the side of Alex. I'm really loving the play style here for Kyle. Huge adjustments, especially knowing the fact that there's now the Incineroar goes in for the Ditto and just use it against him. And here we have it, the Ditto's Imposter going to transform into the Incineroar, of course going to have the Intimidate as well. -1 into the side of the Incineroar, and of course the Rillaboom for Alex's side. And of course, coming in with a Sludge Bomb right now, I think this is going to be, well, not going to be a 1 KO, but it's still going to deal a lot, maybe hoping for the poison there. But a U-turn is going to come up, going to be able to make sure that Rillaboom goes away, goes back to this, goes to the back of Alex, and maybe we are going to be able to see the Drift Limb here. We still don't know what the last one is going to be. It is going to be the entry into the side of Alex, and now we are going to see another parting shot here just to make sure that Incineroar goes back and get another -1. But we all know that Venusaur is not running into the attack, and Kyle can just use the same strategy to get away with a parting shot.
He can, but you know, he does have to make a similar choice as to Alex this turn. He has to pick a move to lock into from that choice scarf. And you know, looking at this Incineroar's moveset, I think that you just go for damage. At this point, Kyle has a comfortable sort of lead. He has the Pokemon advantage typing wise, he has the Pokemon advantage speed wise. So you just try and do those big hits, and even if Alex decides to slow things down, switch around, try and get those intimidates in, or otherwise, you know, change the momentum, there's only so much you can do.
Wow, that is huge. Now we see that we're not going to be seeing the Stone Edge into the side of the Entei here. Of course, we both know, we now know that it is a Scarf. So as you mentioned, Incineroar here is going to go in for the damage. It's going to be able to knock down this Rillaboom, and of course, that of course is a free turn for Kyle. Not only was Kyle able to get the Sleep Powder, but also able to knock out the Rillaboom, and of course, and now down into the Incineroar. This is going to be the last stand for Alex if they are going to be able to turn this around against Kyle.
Alex certainly does have an advantage when you think about, you know, what's on the field right now. Even with the Entei asleep, it could possibly wake up. You know, either of these Pokemon can go for a fire type attack into the Venusaur and, you know, deal a good amount of damage there. But we're once again in a situation one where Kyle still has the Groudon available to him. There's no way that Alex can intimidate it, and if Kyle can find a safe way to get the Groudon onto the field, possibly by letting the Venusaur get knocked out, for example, then that is one Precipice Blades away from cleaning up.
Right, so we see that the Sleep Powder actually missed into the side of the Incineroar. I think it's not that big. It's not that big compared to the damage that Kyle actually took from that. You know, you could just still Kyle could just still do it. You know, we're gonna be seeing some Earth Power here, maybe take down the Entei, maybe of course at the same time try to be more offensive here, try to clear this out and guarantee the win here. But let's find out what Alex is going to do here, knowing the fact that Entei is still asleep. I believe there's a good chance that Entei is going to wake up this turn, but still, Venusaur being the faster one here, it's not going to be able to Sleep Powder the Entei once again. So let's find out what's going to be the move here for for Alex.
Again, I think Alex just has to hope that Entei wakes up, like you mentioned, and get some knockouts. But you also have to wonder what he's planning in the back of his mind for when that Groudon does make an appearance, because you have to know it's just lurking, waiting there.
Right, and here we have it. Ditto goes in for the Intimidate. Of course, a -1 into the Incineroar. It's not going to be able to get away anymore. Earth Power into the Entei. It's still not going to be enough to take it down. Entei is now going to wake up. Sacred Fire in on the sunny weather. It's not going to be enough, of course. Now Ditto's transformed into the Incineroar, but we are going to see a Flare Blitz into the Venusaur, of course, knowing that it is Sash. It is going to survive at least at this turn. So for the next one, we might probably... Oh, never mind. Never mind. The sun is now out, and there's also the double speed of the Venusaur now gone.
If Kyle wants that speed back, all he has to do is send in the Groudon for the Ditto slot on the
right.
But
Right.
I don't think you do that. I think that the Venusaur has really served its purpose in this game, and the Ditto too, to a certain extent. It was able to intimidate the Pokemon on the opposing side of the field twice, thanks to the fact that Alex's Incineroar is also stuck on the field. And the Venusaur was able to use those sleep powders very effectively. So again, you just take this as safely as you can. You don't risk any surprises. You wait for a Pokemon to get knocked out, and then you send that Groudon in order to go for the Precipice Blade. I like the fact, though, that Alex locked into the Sacred Fire onto that Entei, because that will give Entei its best shot, not only of dealing damage to Groudon, but also that burn chance. Remember, if Sacred Fire connects, it is a 50% chance that it burns the opposing Pokemon, and that would severely weaken Groudon's attack power.
Right, even with the Precipice Blades, with the burn, that's going to reduce a lot of the damage. But right now, we are going to see an evaded Sleep Powder going to be able to make Alex survive for at least one more turn, and now Kyle is left back with the Groudon. This is looking pretty bad for Kyle. Got Groudon in the Talonflame even.
It's not great, but Kyle does have one option here to guarantee avoid getting burned by that Entei Sacred Fire. Talonflame should be naturally faster than this Entei and does have access to the Tailwind, as we've seen. So if you Tailwind, that'll mean the Groudon is going to immediately be faster than the Pokemon on the opposing sides of the field and will have the opportunity to attack prior to the Entei. Again, Precipice Blades can miss, and that is essentially what Alex is praying for at this point in time. But it's all up to chance. Yes, is this turn. It's all up to how accurate that Groudon's feeling today.
Right, and if it's not at the 100% right now, if it's not at its best, if it's not in its A tier right now, then it's going to be hell for Kyle. But let's find out if that Precipice Blade is going to make a hit into the Incineroar and the Entei, because it only needs to hit one time, and if it hits one time, then it's going to take the KO. But we see the miss on that Sacred Fire, and of course we have the Tailwind as well. Precipice Blade is going to hit, but this is what you were hoping for, Alex. We see the miss into the Incineroar, but that's going to be a lot, especially when it is not the Entei that got the miss, and the Incineroar is going to survive. Flare Blitz right now, it is going to be into the Talonflame, not going to be enough to take the KO, and at this point on, Kyle could just go all in offensive and take this win.
That Sacred Fire miss was really rough, but did give Kyle the opening he needed for that Tailwind and then for the subsequent Precipice Blades. It was a very close match, even though, Groudon is sitting essentially at full health at this point. A couple of rules differently, and we could be looking at a game 3. So well played by Alex, well played by Kyle. That was a very fun game to watch.
Right, and it was just exhilarating, especially in the first turn of the first game. It was nasty. It was nasty, I'd have to say, and they really gave us a really good match. And Kyle, huge props to Kyle and Alex for giving us this match, and I really hope to see more of these action here at the World Cup of Pokemon VGC.
Yeah, me too. Let's go throw it to a break, and we'll be back with some more of that.